Welcome to D&D Backstory. This is the origin of Norixius Rowan, Dragonborn Paladin.
Move! Please, move! Sorry, please move! I can't stop! Get out of my way! Sorry, please, move! I can't stop! Get out of my way!
Stop that man!
In the heart of a city, at the heart of a kingdom, a Dragonborn rushes headlong down an alleyway, skidding around a corner and bursting into a bustling market. He leaps over a vegetable cart, the edge of his shield catching its corner and scattering cabbages and turnips across the cobblestones.
Sorry, but please move! I can't stop! Get out of my way!
The sunlight plays across Norixius Rowan, shining on polished plate armor and gleaming amethyst scales. As he sprints through the market, gasps and murmurs begin to travel through the crowd. A long-time resident of Owen, the affable Dragonborn was a familiar sight to the people of the city, but they were unused to the crazed, frantic look in his eyes, and withdrew rapidly from him as they registered the blood splattered across his armor and the longsword in his hand. The knight vaults another produce cart and jukes neatly around a third, before stumbling through a jewelry stand and sending pewter baubles flying. Behind him, two more men charge around the corner, in armor identical to Rowan's own, that of the OWEN Justicars.
He went in there!
Cursing, Rowan nearly loses his footing as he slides into a sudden right turn out of the bazaar and into yet another alleyway, ducking just in time to avoid a clothesline to the throat. Behind him, he can hear the sounds of his fellow Justicars in hot pursuit, but knowing them to be a dwarf and a non-local human, respectively, Rowan knows he will soon outpace them. He zigs and zags through the streets he ran through as a child, desperate to reach his destination. He finally arrives, panting, and slams his fist into the door of a nondescript home in the middle of a quiet neighborhood.
Amara, let me in! I beg you, hurry, please!
After a beat, the door swings inward, and Rowan finds himself face to face with a human woman, white of hair and stooped with age, but still nearly as tall as the Amethyst Justicar himself.
Rowan, lad, what?
The woman's eyes widen in shock as she takes in the blood-spattered Dragonborn.
I can't explain, Amara. There's no time. They're coming for me. You must hide me, please.
Oh, child, what have you done?
The woman turns aside and ushers him into her home. Rowan, for his part, strides quickly towards a chest set against the back wall and begins to fiddle with the lock set upon it.
Who is after you, Rowan? Did you run afoul of the Syndicate again? Here, you clumsy oaf. Allow me.
Amara shoves the young paladin out of her way, kneeling and revealing the false bottom of the chest with an audible click. She places her hand on the trapdoor revealed, then turns and regards Rowan coolly.
Who, Rowan? What did you do?
The Justicars. And they'll be here soon. I'll explain when the danger is past, on my oath as a knight. But for the sake of our years together, I beg you, hide me this one last time.
Amara nods curtly, color draining from her face as she takes in the declaration from her former ward, throwing open the trapdoor and ushering him down into a hidden cavity between the ground floor and basement. She carefully secures the mechanism and throws a dusty blanket over the top of the false chest while muttering a quiet prayer, her eyes glowing briefly in the gloom of the house. She then turns and begins the process of making tea, awaiting the arrival of the pursuing Justicars. She did not have long to wait.
Amara, open up!
Davis, search the place. Where is he, Amara? An elven man in ornate armor stands in the doorway, gesturing towards a halfling trooper while glaring disdainfully up at the elderly woman.
Are you going to pay to have that door fixed, Lieutenant Aldrasil?
Amara meets the lieutenant's gaze coolly from beneath the curtain of her hair.
And I have no idea where Rowan might be, except that he is certainly not here.
Behind her, the trooper begins to tear through her belongings, flipping couches and throwing the contents from closets.
Don't be obstinate, Amara. The street rat showed us his true colors, just as I always predicted he would. How could he not, when he was raised by a crone as duplicitous as you are? I ask you again, Amara, where is Trooper Norixius?
I answer you again, you pretentious twerp. He's not here. What did he do? That he has your delicate little panties in such a bunch?
Watch your tone, woman, especially in light of recent developments. Your treacherous protege has committed the highest of treasons, and he must be brought to justice. Murdered our captain in cold blood, the slimy purple bastard.
Amara's jaw drops in shock and horror entirely unfeigned. As she takes a moment to gather her thoughts, she turns to watch the halfling trooper struggling in vain to shift the false chest from its position against the wall.
Good luck with that, kid. Thing's lined with 4 inches of adamantine. Cost me a fortune and took a team of 4 ogres to lug it inside. It was weeks before I was rid of the smell. But let me open it for you before you give yourself a hernia.
The lie comes to her quickly and easily, so well rehearsed that she nearly believes it herself. She busies herself with the lock for a moment, then turns back to face the officer as his crony begins rummaging through her valuables and life savings.
Aye, well, that would explain the blood on his sword, Lieutenant Headass. Or I suppose it's Captain Headass now, isn't that right?
He begins to speak, enraged, but she cuts him off.
So yes, Captain, I saw him. He came here begging for protection, covered in gore, and crying about how you lot were after him. I turned him away. Stupid boy.
Bullshit!
You truly take me for a fool. You know the price I have paid for crossing the Justicars in the past. Don't you remember?
She throws her hair back from her face, revealing a frigid glare of brown on her right side, and a gnarled, puckered mass of scar tissue where her left eye should have been.
Finish your search, Captain, and then be gone from my house. Leave me in peace with my tea and my trinkets, as I've done for you since you ripped the eye from my skull. I sent the damned fool away, and the sooner you leave here and expand your search, the more likely you are to find the boy.
For nearly a minute, Carmine Aldrasil coldly matches her one-eyed gaze.
Come, Davis. It appears the old fool may have finally taken our lessons to heart. But, Amara, should I find out you have deceived us, I will have you flayed alive in the common square.
I would expect nothing less. Good day, Captain.
The old woman stands in the doorway for 15 minutes, quietly contemplating. She finally turns, tossing her cold tea out of her mug and striding to the kettle to pour herself a new cup. She spends the next several hours tottering around the house, dusting, mending a threadbare shawl, listening for sounds of commotion in the streets and for hints of hidden watchers. Finally, some several hours past dusk, she gathers a large plate of bread, cheese, and jerky together and cautiously strides to the chest. She knocks 4 times quietly in the rhythmic sequence before engaging the hidden mechanism and opening the passageway. The Amethyst Dragonborn slowly emerges from the crawl space and stands stock still, gazing into Amara's face as he waits for her to speak. She assesses him for several seconds before setting the platter down next to her and turning to stride away in disgust.
You actually did it, didn't you? Murdered the captain of the Justicars, the head executioner himself. Oh, Rowan, you thrice-damned idiot!
I had to. He was...
What? What did he do, Norixius Rowan, that would lead you to throwing away the entire life we built for you? All I've done for the past 20 years was for you, and you broke your oath!
No, Amara, I broke no oath. I can prove it.
The towering Dragonborn takes 2 steps back and slowly, cautiously draws his longsword from its scabbard, grasping the hilt in both of his hands and holding the blade in front of his face. He closes his eyes, taking a deep breath, and when he opens them, they glow with a fiery radiance, echoed by the shining light now streaming outward from the blade.
Famous tits, put that out, you idiot!
Rowan quickly extinguishes the burning radiance, abashed.
Tell me what happened. All of it.
The captain brought me along on a raid, just he and I. We're going into the thick of it, Rowan, and I need someone I can trust as well as the common folk can. He told me he had a solid lead on the jewelry thief, the one who's been raiding the homes of nobles so successfully. We got to the tavern and he rented a room, then took me upstairs to a different room entirely. We went in quiet. There was a boy, A little halfling kid who was playing with a little straw man using a mage hand because he had already been caught thieving twice. You see? And I knew something was wrong because I had seen some of the places post-break-in. There was no way a child could have used magic like that, especially without hands. But the captain didn't say anything. He strode forward, drew his executioner's blade, and his head rolled across the floor. And it looked me straight in the eyes. I didn't know what to do, but I do not bring the blade down on innocent Samara. I do not make war on children.
Amara remains silent and merely closes the distance between them, pulling the sobbing Dragonborn into a comforting embrace.
You are a better man than you have any right to be, Norixius Rowan. You are a powerful warrior with a pure heart. And gods know any child I had a hand in raising should have been neither. But come now. The time for tears will be later. You need to eat this, all of it, and prepare for a long journey.
Journey? The moment I step into those streets, I'm a dead man. I fear that crawl space will be my home until I grow too sick with myself and turn myself in.
Nonsense! You great lizard, deception is my middle name, and disguise my maiden. We'll get you out of the city.
What am I supposed to do? Just forget about the people of Valencourt? Leave them in the hands of brutes and tyrants like Aldrassil?
No, child. But if you really want to bring justice to this city, you need to be stronger than you are now, surrounded by allies that you can trust. I am one such, and I will be here when you return. But I am not of much use if it comes to violence, and it almost assuredly will one day.
Rowan nods somberly, then turns and begins to shovel food into his mouth.
That's it, eat up, and try to catch a power nap. We'll be leaving once the moon is gone from the sky.
Thank you, Amara. Truly.
Thank you, Rowan.
For what?
For proving to this old woman that sometimes good faith can still be rewarded. I'm scared for you, but I am more proud of you than I can possibly express.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Links to all of our characters' character sheets, our other character breakdowns, and all of our backstories can be found in the description below. Make sure you subscribe so you keep up to date as we release more and more characters and new content for you. And if you'd like to support us even further, a link to our Patreon can also be found in the description below.